Mark Raymundi for ESPN back with you today with a special guest, one of the most talked about 2-0 pro boxers in the history of the sport. Of course, coming off a big second round knockout over Nate Robinson, the former NBA player, on the Tyson versus Jones undercard last Saturday. None other than Jake Paul. Jake, thanks for taking the time, man. Really appreciate you hanging out with us today.
Mark, my guy, the intro it just sounds too good, Mark. The intro sounds too good, baby. We're on top of the world. I'm feeling good. Thank you for having me. ESPN, who would have ever thought I'd be here? Jesus.
Well, you got more experience talking on camera than I do, probably, with your YouTube exploits over there. Mr. 20 plus million subscribers, I think, right?
Yeah, I'm at 20 something million. Yeah, I've been making content since I was 10 years old, but yeah, I love the cameras. I love being in the spotlight. It's I've always loved being in the center of attention. And I love to entertain people and just put on a show. That's why I think this is where I'm at 23 years old.
There's a lot I want to ask you about, but the first thing is kind of what you just said, because you are the center of attention and you are getting a lot of headlines in the combat sports world, in the boxing world. And a lot of boxing people, some of the purists, some of the people who have been around for a long time, aren't big fans of Jake Paul, aren't big fans of the presentation, of I guess the machinations that you guys have been doing. What are your thoughts on that?
I think they're haters, and they need to get rid of their ego, because the real OGs like Mike Tyson are the ones who realize that us celebrities and NBA players and YouTubers boxing are bringing a whole nother set of eyes to the sport. We're making it exciting. That we're making it interesting. We're posting more content than these other boxers. So they're just hating at this point. Just accept that we're here. If you don't like it, cool. Then don't talk about us, because you're just giving it more attention. I respect the sport. I dedicated the past year of my life to training 2 times a day in Las Vegas, Nevada, the boxing capital of the world, sparring professional fighters, so that I could go out there and put on a legitimate pro boxing performance. And that's what I did. So I think, maybe the first couple of fights and maybe some of these other celebrities boxing, is a little bit cheesy, but don't come for me. Don't come for me, because I've earned my stripes already in this game. I've had 2 pro fights, 1 amateur fight, but I've been doing this for 3.5 years, and I've dedicated my blood, sweat, and tears to it. So I deserve some respect.
So like you said, 2-0 as a pro, 1-0 as an amateur, been training for 3 years. You have a lot of things going on in your life. You're, like we just said earlier, you have 20 plus million subscribers on YouTube. Why boxing, and where do you see this going? What is kind of like your end goal for this?
Yeah, I fell in love with the sport, man. I'm built for it, and my whole life has been a fight. I grew up wanting to play in the NFL. I grew up wrestling, so I love being competitive. I love athletics. I love training. I love pushing myself. I love working hard. And I just so happens that I got famous at the age of 17 and started acting on Disney Channel and started posting vlogs of my life. But when I got the opportunity to get back involved in sports, I fell in love with it. And now, I can take this as far as I want. Deontay Wilder started boxing at like the age of 21, became the heavyweight champion of the world. I started boxing at the age of 20. So why can't I become the champion of the world? And I already have the platform. I already just put on one of the craziest boxing performances of the past couple of years, the craziest knockout of the past couple of years, on the Mike Tyson undercard. Mike Tyson is co-signing me. Mike Tyson wants to take me under his wing and turn me into the most famous fighter in the world. And I'm already up there. Without, obviously I'm being cocky and but the numbers don't lie. And even the Triller CEO said Jake Paul is responsible for 50% of these pay-per-view sales from Saturday night. So Jake Paul and Mike Tyson and Roy Jones together really made this the biggest boxing event of the year, and of the past couple of years. And who knows where this goes? You know, who knows? I think the sky is the limit.
My biggest question for you, man, is really why? Because you're 23, you're already making plenty of money in your other ventures, right? I'm sure that's the case. Boxing is a difficult sport. It's hard to train. You get hit in the face for a living. So why does Jake Paul want to actually go the extra yard and go into the boxing world?
No, you're 100% right. It's so much sacrifice. I've sacrificed so much just for this fight. You know, I'm already noticing early signs of CTE and meant like my brain not being as healthy as it is. But my whole life has been a fight, and this invigorates me more than anything else. There is nothing like getting into a ring with another man and having to fight for your life. So I've done it all. I've had big businesses. I've sold companies. I've performed on stage in front of 20,000 people from my music. But this is what makes me feel so alive. And this is what gives me purpose. And I've been put in a position now where uh, where no one else in the world is currently. My age, my entertainment skills, my following, my platform, my connections. And so for me, I truly believe that I will become the biggest prize fighter in the world and the highest paid prize fighter in the world. And that is my goal, and I won't stop for anybody.
So now what is the next step? I've heard you mention names, Dylan Dennis, Conor McGregor, but what is your process now? You just beat Nate Robinson. Now what does Jake Paul do? Do you try to find a promoter? Do you stay with Triller? I mean, there are so many different moving parts in boxing. So what is your process now?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of discussions. There's so many things happening, so many deals, so many companies, so many just silent rich investors who want to fund me. Uh, there's a lot going on, and me and my team are just fielding everything and coming up with the best game plan. But you know, it's been less than I think 5 days since this has all happened, and so I said before we started the interview, like I'm overwhelmed right now. I'm overwhelmed. I'm burnt out. I've been training for 9 months, twice a day, doing interviews, doing content, selling merch, hustling, making music videos. Like I need a little bit of a break here. Only a couple days, but I'm in Mammoth right now. I'm gonna go snowboarding with my friends. But you know, there's a lot of business to do. I want to bring MMA fighters into the boxing ring and embarrass them. Conor McGregor is the only MMA fighter that's really come over to the boxing ring. So that's what I want to do. I'm going to take these big name UFC fighters. I'm going to call up Dana. We're already calling up Dana, and we're like, yo, bring your UFC guys into the ring and let's make massive fights. I don't want to fight anymore unless it's massive. I want every time Jake Paul fights, I want there to be an electricity in the air that everyone can feel, and people have to tune in. And so I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to find the right opponent, and I'm going to stay active. You know, let's get it. Like I'm ready to go. I didn't even get to showcase my talent. I broke my nose 4 weeks before the fight. Meditating, I fell flat. I passed out, fell flat on the concrete from like 6 feet in the air, broke my nose. I wasn't really able to even spar. So this wasn't even my best performance. So you know, we're ready to go. We have the best coaching team. We have the best training team. We have the best strength and conditioning coaches. We have the best chef. And I'm just ready to go.
Is Conor McGregor the name that you want next? And how realistic do you think that could be?
It's very realistic. We're already talking with his team. He understands that it makes sense. I want to fight a couple more people, I think, first, but we're figuring that out. Because I want to prove to the world, like, yo, like I'm gonna knock out all these fighters. So, you know, Conor McGregor can maybe be the final boss. You know, if we were playing a video game, he could be the final boss, and then I'll probably retire after I beat McGregor. But people just think it's a joke. People are like, oh, he's gonna get killed. People like I am coming. I'm dedicating my life to beating Conor McGregor, and financially, it already makes sense. Financially, I'm already one of the biggest prize fighters, and there's only a couple more bosses to check off, and to beat and to conquer.
Speaking of finances, there was a weird report last week from the California State Athletic Commission that you and Nate Robinson were only making $600 each for that fight. Can't imagine.
No.
Yeah. How
No.
how how much how much did you actually make from
Uh,
that fight?
a lot. Eight figures.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. My deal was built into the back end structure of how well the event performed, and the event performed incredibly well.
I want to ask you about boxing in general. When did you grow up watching it? Like, were you a big fan of any of the older or contemporary boxers?
Yeah. I was a big boxing fan growing up. We would watch as many fights as we could. My parents couldn't always afford getting every single fight, but I was a big UFC fan as well. So I try to tune into as many fights as possible. Uh, so I've always followed it. I've always followed combat sports. Like I said, I was Ohio State Division I wrestler. Um, so it's always been a big part of my life. I remember the first UFC events with Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz and all this stuff. So I've always been a big fight fan.
Do you think because your audience, the followers that you bring to boxing, skews younger, right? It's Generation Z. It's people who are your age and younger, who wouldn't probably normally be watching boxing. Do you think that you could almost help grow boxing by bringing your followers who may come to boxing to see Jake Paul, but may stay for, like an Errol Spence or a Tyson Fury or someone like that?
I know they'll want to see me fight. I can't promise that they'll want to see other people fight. Uh, but but that still means I'm growing boxing. More people know about it. But my audience more so cares about the talk, the storyline, the excitement of fight night, the outfits, they care about that. They're gonna watch these interviews. The fight is a side product, and obviously it's what people tune into, and what keeps people on the edge of their seat. But they just want to see knockouts, and that's what I'm gonna do, and I know that, and that's why I want to be a vicious fighter. I don't want to just come in like Badu Jack and box Blake McKernan for 8 rounds in a boring fight and win by a decision.
So basically, what you're saying, Jake, is that you're kind of selling an entertainment product, right? On multiple platforms, on multiple levels of content, not just the fight. The fight is kind of the climax, right? But you're selling kind of the whole package: entertainment, fashion, the whole deal.
100%. And that's why I will be the biggest in this. Is because I've already got that figured out, and the best teams to help me with that. So at this point, the snowball, is rolling downhill, and it's only gaining speed and momentum and getting bigger and bigger.
You've been able to promote yourself so well through YouTube and other social media mediums and so on and so forth. Boxing has had ups and downs over the years, but it seems like, you figured out a really good formula so far to get people interested in fights. Like, what advice would you even give other boxing promoters to help build up their own products?
Numbers are the only thing that matter. And if you work in reverse, that's how you can, get the best results. If you know that you have to get sales, what are you doing to get those sales? I got the secret sauce, but you got to develop that. There's only a couple of people out there who understand, like Ryan Garcia, Eddie Hearn. These people are utilizing social media and growing and marketing themselves better than anyone. And so the competition is slim. So if you can break through, it's not that hard. There's only a couple people doing it.
Why do you think that there are, so many people who don't like you and your style, who are kind of against it? There's kind of a backlash almost against you.
I think I'm too truthful, and I think I'm too authentic, and I think I am very polarizing because of that. I'm going to say that people off. I'm going to sit here and be cocky. I'm going to sit here and diss other fighters. And I think they hate me because deep down they know I'm right. And they're not confident in themselves enough to just be like, damn, I like this kid because of how accurate he is, but also how truthful he is. And I don't give a fuck people off. If I give people off, I would be in a different profession. This is the fight league. You're going in there, and it's the only sport where you can legally kill someone in the ring. So get over it and get your panties out of a bundle and sack up and know that I'm the truth.
Why do you think your followers are so willing to, and your fans are so willing to follow you to all these different mediums, including boxing? What is it about you? What is it about what you deliver to them that makes them want to follow you?
I'm just like their friend, and I just relate to them, and I've built my brand and personality so they know exactly who I am. They know what I'm doing. They know what I'm up to. We engage. I make them laugh. I make them cry. I piss them off, when I up, but then I'm like, guys, I'm sorry I let us down, but I'm going to keep fighting for us. I'm going to win this fight. And so we're a team. They're not my fans. We're a team. We have a bond. And I love them. I truly love them. And I love how much they support me. And I wouldn't be here without them. And they maybe wouldn't be where they are without me. We inspire each other. I work my ass off to prove to them that this movement that we have created is something special. And I want to inspire all my fans and everyone on my team to be the greatest versions of themselves.
A couple of last things, man. And again, thanks again for taking the time out. Do you think that boxing and promoters will kind of take a little bit of your recipe and try to apply that to what they're doing? Do you see that happening in the future? Maybe it's already happening.
No, I don't see it happening because it's you have to know what you're doing and have the secret sauce and understand content, understand social media, understand going viral, understand branding, marketing. That's why that's what I did since I was 10 years old. And you have to be digitally native. And I'm 23 years old. I understand TikTok. I understand Triller. I understand Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube stories, community posting on YouTube. This, if you ask the promoter, they wouldn't even know what that is. I understand, so they could try, and I want boxing to become more famous. I want boxing to grow. I want people to succeed. I want to make content with other fighters. I want to go and hang out with Anthony Joshua and make a YouTube video about it. I want to go hang out with Tyson Fury. I want to bring more eyes, but Ryan Garcia is the only one that seems to get it and seems to put himself out there to grow. So, it might take time, but I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Do you feel like you're changing boxing?
Yeah. Yes. I think the answer to that is self-explanatory. I don't really have to elaborate on how or why.
And then last thing, 2021 is just a few weeks away. What does that year look like for Jake Paul in the ring, maybe even in the cage? Where does that year take you, do you think?
I think it's the biggest year of my life. It's the year of the Capricorn. So we're coming into the year of the Capricorn, which is my astrology sign. So anything is possible. It's queuing up to be the biggest year of my life. And I'm ready for that. And I'm ready to capitalize, and I'm ready to seize the moment. Carpe diem.
Awesome. Jake, thanks again. Enjoy your snowboarding excursion and hope to talk
Thank
to you
bro.
Soon. Hope to see you again in the ring soon.
Peace out, guys.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.